Hi everybody. I wanted to talk to you today about 5 key benefits that we were able to bring to customers directly through work that we've been doing with them over the past while. So let me take it from the top. The first one is every time that we run an event with a company, let's say where I'm an MC or I'm in as a keynote speaker, I'll always ask the client, what do you want to know or learn from your audience? And the reason that I ask that is generally when you send out a survey for people to fill out, the people who have very strong feelings will fill it out. The people that you ask to do it as a favour will fill it out. The people who have time to fill it out will fill it out. And those who are incentivized to fill it out will fill it out. But apart from that, it's very hard to get a cross-sectional response to anything unless people feel that they're getting something from it. When you're running an event, like a live webinar or an event in person, you can just think through what is it that I might like to learn from this audience, and then set it up as a poll. Or MentiMeter is a very effective tool to be able to capture insights really quickly, and then you get a cross-sectional approach because everybody wants to feed in to this conversation that's happening in advance of or during a session. And this was something that we did for an organisation who brought us in to work on the basis of Blue Monday. So what we did was we uncovered the reasons that people don't achieve their goals, particularly in January, what holds them back, and we uncovered and revealed those issues, and then we brought them to the fore and spoke about overcoming them. But what we did first was that we asked the audience a couple of questions so that then we could give that information back to the customer so that as they're planning their learning and development schedule in the weeks and the months ahead, then that could inform it along the way. So that's the first one. The second one is being aware of the biases that people have when they are engaging with you. So I give you a very specific example. When we are running our Active Peers AI algorithm with organizations, we started off by asking people to document what they knew and what they wanted to know. Then we developed an iteration of that where we simply asked people to rate certain skills, how well and how comfortable and how competent they were in them in comparison to how much they wanted to learn about them. And we could see that some people had a real bias towards saying that they were comfortable or competent, and those words really made a difference. So what we did then was that we moved to the power of the rank. We gave people then a list, let's say, of 5 skills, and we asked them then to rank their confidence in those one after the other, where they had to put them in a structured list. And then that removed that confidence bias or the word bias that came along by asking people to actually say what they were comfortable or competent in. So by using rank, where people have to rank things one after the other, after the other, after the other, and they can't put 2 things on the same rank, you can actually take away some unconscious bias that people might have. We particularly saw that when it came to people who are in a minority situation. Gender, yes, but apart from that, even when you came to seniority, when you had a lot of junior people around senior people, or when you had people who were unfamiliar with the situation relative to people who were familiar with the situation, whoever was in the minority tend to be of lower confidence. And then, of course, then that had a ricochet effect then based on the algorithm that we were running, because the algorithm will only work based on the data that goes into it. When we change that into a rank basis, where people have to rank something like their competence or their confidence, then it put people on a far more even keel, because we wanted to match people then based on their difference, but we had to truly understand their difference in the first place. Now, the next thing I wanted to tell you is, in some parts of our workforce, we have people who need to build their confidence. And I don't mean in a fluffy way. I mean in a very tangible, practical way. So let me give you some examples. People who are returning to the workforce. And we deal a lot with companies who say, right, we want to put a learning and development strategy in place so that people are able to do their jobs and that they're comfortable staying here, right here in this company or in this organization. How do we retain them? Because if they are feeling in lower confidence in what they're doing, they can very easily go. And we understand that. Now, when we're working in environments in particular where you're trying to also promote people up the ranks and they have the competence but they don't have the confidence to put themselves forward, that's also a very big problem when it comes to your talent pipeline. And I want to tell you one thing that we do that we have seen has had really enormous impact on this. And that is, if you enable people to share their own insights with other people, it gives them a huge sense of that they have got something to offer, that when they can give something to other people that can be really helpful. So what we do is we match people based on what they know and what they want to learn. But we know that everybody has something to share. Everybody has something to share as long as you're asking them to share about something in their experience. So we ran this recently for a group of people who were on a job readiness module. So this is the talent pool that is out there, that is on the fence about returning to the workplace because they don't know if they're able to yet. And of course, yes, we know that they have to be able to do a job. Of course, we know that. And that was separate in the context of the work that we were doing. This was enabling them to, move over the fence and to be able to really go forward and put themselves forward for the opportunities they had the competence to do, but didn't have the confidence. And one of the things that we did was that we matched them together based on a level of their own experience. For example, going for interviews, finding out about jobs, adapting to the workplace, understanding technology, and let's say writing their CV. I'm saying those as examples because I don't want to be very, very specific about what exactly we did. And it was really intriguing when we matched them in an area where they absolutely had experience and when they were able to give insights to other people that were valuable to other people. Automatically they said, oh, I didn't realize that I could give something of value to other people very quickly. I didn't realize that other people could find my experience valuable. It was great for me to, for once, be the giving end of insight as opposed to constantly looking for information. So that is what I suggest can be very helpful when you are trying to help people develop their own confidence themselves, not telling them they're able for it, but engendering their own confidence so that then they can go for that promotion or go for that job or move forward, is helping them to understand that they have got more to share. And again, we do that in a very structured way, but you can do it too by simply putting them in an environment where they absolutely will thrive. Even if it is a 10-minute conversation or an hour-long conversation, it can be very, very powerful. Number 4, and this is really helpful, I have to say the power that this has is really helpful, is inviting people to learn in a micro way through a process. So what we've done is that when we're matching people together based on what they know and what they want to learn, then we rematch them again and we swap things around. Okay, so again, I can talk to anybody about that in a different environment, but I just want to point out the real kernel of learning that's in here. And that is that after they have the first conversation where they share insights, then using an Instagram story, what we do is we'll ask people to document what they would do differently in the next conversation. So what they do is we put up a question sticker on Instagram to say, what would you do differently? You could, of course, do this through a simple form. You could do this through sending messages in the chat if it's on Zoom. You can do this by asking them to write it down on a sheet of paper. The way you do it doesn't matter. The fact that you do it does. The reason we pick an Instagram story is that then we can republish that story where the person who says it, their name is private, but the message itself is public. Anyway, the point is by asking people to learn by those micro experiences. Based on that 15-minute conversation, what would you do differently in the next one? They can put it into practice in the next one, but it just gives them that moment to stop and think. And academia is really good at this. People in academia are really good at stopping and looking at their research and comparing private to secondary. Often in the professional world, we can be very, very fast. We want to move forward. But when you actually enable people to stop, learn, and then go and implement it right away, that feedback loop can be very, very tight and the results can be very, very quick. And then we find that people are saying, I should be more prepared. I should ask more questions. I should be more assertive. I should be more confident. They're saying that themselves. So the thing is, they're developing their own learning plan for what is, as we all know, best practice in all of those things when it comes to sharing insight. And the last thing I will say is that it's so important that we teach people how to share insight. So many people say you can learn an awful lot from others, but what there's very little research in and training in is how to let people give their own insights to others. And we developed a peer learning prompter around this to actually engineer that. But just to give you one example, when you ask people this question, tell me about a time that using a specific skill has been very helpful. And now tell me about a time when you didn't have that skill or somebody else didn't have that skill. What was the difference in those scenarios? Asking a question like that really helps them to reflect and to distinguish between when that skill is present or not. And then, of course, the story usually follows as well. And then the conversation can be up and running. So hope that's helpful for you. They've been really helpful in various different ways that we've been working with clients over the past while, and hopefully it is of help. And if it is, tell me there in the comments and how, and I'm very happy to respond and give further if I can.